Welcome to Learning Lovecraft with Ken James and Jason McKittrick, brought to you by Cryptocurium.
Good evening and welcome to another episode of Learning Lovecraft. I'm your host, Jason McKittrick, and joining me, as always, the traveler of the Eldritch Path, Mr. Ken James.
Good evening, folks.
And tonight we're back with the second installment of Cyclopean Cinema, and this week's entry is The Unnameable. Hey, folks, remember us? Just wanted to give a shout out to all the folks who came up to the Cryptocurium table during Necronomicon Providence. That was end of last month. I did not realize we had so many fans. And I just want to thank, the folks that came up to the table and just, were like, hey, please come back. Yeah. I was like, we are, I promise. But actually, this episode is a little bit earlier because you folks were asking for it. Yeah. So it's been a while since we had a Cyclopean Cinema episode, or any episode, to be honest.
Yeah.
But we wanted to come back, ease it in, not come back text heavy. I mean, that'll be the next one. But
yes.
So we selected The Unnameable.
The Unnameable.
Now, for folks who haven't listened to the previous Cyclopean Cinema episode, I don't know why you wouldn't have, but the rules are we're going to cover these film adaptations of Lovecraft stories after we've actually covered the story in one of the main episodes first.
Yes. So 2 episodes ago, we did The Unnameable.
Yes.
And then it was the festival.
Yes.
And then now it's The Unnameable, the movie.
Yes, but there was a 3-month lap time in there, so...
It takes us a while to watch movies.
Yeah, I mean, we kept pausing, kids kept coming in, jobs.
I was fighting off interdimensional beings.
Yes.
While trying to play music. It was wild.
Hey, that's how it goes.
Yeah.
So, before we dive into the episode, this little, I think we didn't have too much of a preamble for it, but this little break is, we've got a lot of stuff going on. Me with work, Ken with work, all sorts of family stuff. But the real issue is we're trying to reform this into a Patreon style podcast. So going forward, and we will be back soon, I promise. There's going to be the regular version of the show, and then there's going to be an ad version of the show, and we're going to have a couple tiers that folks can subscribe at. I don't 100% want to go that route, but there's a lot of work that goes into it, and Ken and I are busy guys.
Yes.
So as you can see, we haven't recorded in quite a while together. Yeah. It's been a minute. So I just want to let you folks know that that's what's happening. You can look for updates on that real soon. We want to get it together perfectly, so it's coming. Yeah. I promise.
And like you said, it is a lot of work on both of our parts.
Both of our parts. I do all the research. I put everything together. Ken does all of the audio stuff. It's probably more work than I have to do. So it's a lot of work put together. So to not have some kind of repayment at the end of it is just not feasible for the two of us. So that's why we're doing it. So I'm sure you folks understand, and from the few folks that I saw at the table that said, hey, we will support you no matter what, I really appreciate that, because that really gave me more of the push to make sure that this is going to happen. So that's where we're at.
Hey guys, it's been a while since you've heard me freak out, huh?
That won't be tonight.
Not tonight. No. Tonight's a fun silly jaunt. Yeah. I would say.
Yes.
I would say it's a very right in the wheelhouse of my type of fun horror movie.
Oh, me too, man. This is almost like Spookies.
Yeah, it's almost like an extended episode of like Goosebumps or Are You Afraid of the Dark, or one of those shows. Like
kinda.
The lighting, the music.
The music is
amazing. I love it so much because it almost like never stops the whole movie.
True, and it's very like you already used like the word that I was going to go for. It's very jaunty. Yeah. There's something very like
whimsical. There's whimsy to it.
Yeah, I feel like a hobbit watching this. Like, wee, on the way to Isengard. Now, I hadn't watched this in years, and I remember watching it the first time. And I think when I watched it, actually, it wasn't the first time. The last time that I watched it, I think I had my very serious Lovecraft hat on. I was like, this is ridiculous. But then going back, now being a Lovecraft content creator in 2 ways, I watched it again and I was like, this is actually a lot of fun. Yeah. And also having the benefit of us already have done the episode of Reanimator. Mm-hmm. Now, we can talk about that at whatever point that we get to it. But this one, you can tell that the writer and director, possibly both, are definitely Lovecraft aficionados. There's call-outs to other stories.
Yes.
And there's at least a few in-jokes about other stories.
Right.
And and I'll pull out what I think was what as we get to it. But it's just a fun time. And it's so 80s. It's so, like, they were checking boxes in a different way.
Yeah.
You know, you get your monster, you get your bloody scenes, you get your sex scene, you get your silly lines, you get your ridiculous, outro and intro music, which, by the way, the outro song is a banger.
Yeah, I was on my way finishing up the film, and it started going, and I was like, oh.
Got a sick bass line.
Yeah, you're right.
So, obviously, we're talking about the Unnameable. This was 1988, based on, of course, Lovecraft's short story. And directed by John Paul Ouellette. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm going to go with that.
Yeah.
And this is very much, like a genre film. You know what I'm saying? This is like...
Totally. And it's funny because when you were told me to watch it, you told me it was on Amazon, and I was like, oh, I popped it up. And then once I saw it, I was like, I recognize that from the Blockbuster Video box cover in the horror section.
Yep.
You know, around like Ghoulies and all those other ones.
Ghoulies, Spookies.
Castle Freak.
Yep. Definitely near Reanimator. Castle Freak. There's a remake of Castle Freak. We should probably do both.
Okay.
They're both.
Yeah. Oh,
hey, man, full moon features.
Dude, I texted you yesterday when I was like, how the fuck is Castle Freak a film adaptation of The Outsider?
Yes.
So stupid. Anyway,
yes.
Sorry.
So, no, I mean, that's basically it. I mean, these adaptations, and I think that's the fun part, that why these are all going to be fun, because you have the story that exists that we cover. Lovecraft has these stories. They're very tightly constructed. They live in these very specific boxes. And then these filmmakers have to be like, well, we got to make a movie. We got to sex it up a little bit. We got to add some stuff to it. And it's funny to see how each of them goes about it. You know what I mean? Some go over the top with the sex reanimator. Some people just add a little bit.
Yeah, like, you like that?
Yeah, or some, completely don't have any in there, and it's just like, all right.
Yeah. You're like, where's the sex?
Right, exactly.
I thought this was an 80s movie.
Hey, you never know what you're going to get.
It's true.
So, this movie, good times, and they start you right from the beginning, because they start you right in the beginning, right? You're right there. It's like 18th century, and we're shown the Winthrop house, and then we get that screaming, which you hear throughout the movie.
Throughout.
And the banging at the walls.
Yeah.
And we have our main John. We got Joshua Winthrop, obviously the owner of the house. And he's got his candle, and he's got his he's rushing through the corridors of the house.
His like Ebenezer Scrooge hat on. There's like the sock cap.
Yes, exactly. Out for a nightcap. I don't know. And with this big, heavily locked door, right? Opens it up, right, and he starts talking to the creature to calm this creature down, but doesn't go so well.
Doesn't go good for him. No.
And he gets killed real quick. I mean, they're not screwing around. And then pilgrims show up.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I was rolling with it at that point.
I mean, yes. I mean, but it's like those costumes. It's like this is pre Spirit Halloween. So this is like I don't know, these are like high school stage production. And they don't even explain who they are. It's like, where are we? What's going on? Why is one guy a pilgrim? Maybe the other guy sort of is. You got a guy in a hooded cloak.
I think they spent all the budget at that point on the boob shot.
And the monster. Yeah.
The monster, yes, definitely.
Well, those are your two things you got to hit. I mean, an 80s horror movie.
Boob shot and monster.
Yeah, that's it. And some kill effects.
True, yeah. There's some like brains falling out of heads and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we see these two graves. We see the house. It's very bare, very sparse. There's no trees around it, but these two weird graves that are just next to each other, and people get thrown in there.
Yeah.
And then, boom, movie starts. I just want to say, the guy who plays Randolph Carter is the man.
The man. I was going to say it. He reminds me of a way less annoying dude who plays Bryce Cummings.
Okay.
From Scrooge.
Okay.
He is the man.
Yep.
That was my big takeaway from the film is, oh man, this guy's cool. I like this guy.
He's super cool. He gives me like vibes of like if you're gonna do a young Egon Spengler.
Sure. Yeah.
Like kind of like he was still in college, still kind of like, is this stuff real? And
yeah, less Spectrum E.
Yes,
like,
I know what you mean.
Like he's more, he's more personable.
And this guy can speak to the ladies.
Yes, he can.
Now, as we know in the beginning, with all these other stories that we've done with Lovecraft, Randolph Carter is a stand-in for Lovecraft.
Yes.
So now, having just recently rewatched this is how I will picture Lovecraft going forward.
Beautiful.
With his lines, with his pointing, and it just... I love this guy.
Yeah, and he's not simping for the ladies.
No, he's above it. He's just like, I'll be in the library.
Yeah.
So as it opens,
research to be done.
Right,
Yeah.
research to be done, exactly. So as it opens up, he's telling the story, and he was just, that was us hearing that story.
Yeah.
And this little scene basically sums up most of the original story right here in the first couple minutes.
But there's 3 of them as opposed to 2.
But there's 3 of them. Yeah. We need someone to get killed really quickly.
Right.
So it's obviously his 2 university buddies, Miskatonic University. We have Howard and Joel. Now, Joel was the guy who was in the original. That was Joel Manton. He was the original guy. Now we have this other guy, Howard, who just gives us another guy to have the name Howard. Yes. Ken's showing me pictures of Miskatonic University sweatshirts.
Which we need them.
I think we do.
Yeah.
We'll use my logo that I created, though.
Sure.
We'll have a threadless soon. So here's Randolph. He's telling the story. He's got his 2 buddies there, and Randolph points out that they're sitting in the graveyard surrounding this haunted house of the tales, just like in the original story.
It's not night though at this point.
It's not night, but there's still some weird stuff that occurs.
Yeah.
They're already having that conversation. Like in this one, it was Howard who was giving him a little bit more of the pushback rather than Joel. But they were still like, he's like, no, it could be, everything can be, named or designated. Just the whole thing that we talked about in the episode. And it's right there, and it happens. And then, he points out, here's the house. And then we get, even though it's like broad daylight, we get a weird like owl noise. And then they're like, oh, let's get out of here.
A weird owl noise in the daytime.
Yeah, it's basically what it is. And he finishes up the story about, Joshua Winthrop and his demon daughter. How did you say her name? Is it Alda? Elida. Okay. So that's the daughter that was born of this, they tell you in the beginning it's born of this, well, they don't really tell you, they tell you later, but anyway, we've seen the movie. So they come up, Joel comes up with this idea that they're going to stay there overnight. Randolph and Howard, they're like, we're going to go back to the university.
Yeah.
So driven kind of like by, the curiosity and whatever, Randolph suggests they visit, this place, right? And although he's hesitant, Howard is eventually convinced to go along with the 2 other students, Joel, obviously, which when he gets to the house first, Joel, that whole setup reminds me of the setup of Picture of the House.
Okay.
Like that scene, the way the things are set up.
Okay.
When he first gets to the house, Joel, the way the house is set up, it's like all the finery of like the 18th century. I was like, oh, this is Picture in the House.
Okay.
And even to the point, I think there's a pair of spectacles on one of the, like that.
Eagle-eyed watchers, viewers would catch such things.
Yeah.
Not this guy. I was just like, what's going on?
Yeah, no, nobody knew what was going on. I just wanted to point that out because I was like, dude, they're clearly pulling in from other stories and early Lovecraft stories, which is, they knew what they were doing. So we have their little crew they put together. You got Joel and then we have Wendy, right? And Joel is eager to prove his bravery. He, like I said, arrives first and then disappears under seemingly mysterious circumstances after entering the mansion. And he just goes missing. They don't know what happened to him.
Howard is concerned right away.
Howard is concerned. You know who's not concerned? Randolph Carter. He's too busy with his study groups and his girls that he helps in the, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Like to go from the original story to this, it's just like, wow.
They using this word, masterful. They masterfully made this character such like an 80s. I fucking like this guy, and it's weird.
It's funny, like he it's a strange character because usually that character would be getting beat up by the 2 football jocks or some shit.
Like they made it like because you'll see that in more modern movies now.
Yeah.
Like the smart, but also yet like don't mess with me, pal. Kind of character.
Yeah.
They had to like modern times. They had to like nerds are tough too, but like.
It's weird, man. He's just he's just like, I'm the man. It's it's crazy.
And everyone goes, yeah. Like he was like the first Van Wilder, this guy.
That's a take.
JK, LOLs.
Right. So then we have our other group of students who decide to go visit the. We have the two football types, right, and then there are two girls that go with them.
And the one is wearing the Miskatonic University sweater, and I was like, that's what I was trying to find.
I believe that is Bruce Weeks and his friend John Babcock.
Yeah.
Babcock.
All right.
And they have their two girls. It's we have we have Tanya, and then the other one, I didn't get her name.
Yeah. Tanya's the heavily...
the accented girl. Yeah. That's Tanya. The other girl...
Wendy? Was it Wendy?
I thought Wendy was the one that went with him first. The one that's like in hysterics later.
Okay. Because now I'm confusing because I know the one girl that goes in comes up to Randolph.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'll be in the... Yeah. Then isn't that the same girl that goes in?
Sure.
Maybe. I don't know. Yeah.
Fast and loose, buddy.
Yes, yeah. It's a great movie.
It is, man, but it's like it's just them running around this, these four sets.
There's literally like 7 people in this movie.
Yes, and there's a hallway and maybe 2 different rooms, possibly just one.
Yeah, and a library.
Yeah, and then there's the exterior set.
Cost $40 to make.
Right, yeah, something like that. Right. Dude, it's so good, and you mentioned that, and I laugh because there's the part where someone's trying to they're trying to pull the door handle, the whole set is shaking.
Yeah. They rented out like their local college gym, gymnasium,
literally something like that.
Yeah.
So our quartet, they pull in, they go there and they get it set up in a room to tell ghost stories, and it's just like, okay.
What ghost stories you jocks know? You know
exactly,
what I
and
mean?
it's hilarity ensues.
Yeah,
but meanwhile, Howard, he chases over to Randolph to tell him about Joel, who never came back from the house.
In that hallway exterior.
Yes. Yeah. And it's funny because at first he's like, well, what is my mind? I'm not concerned. It's like very like, and then all of a sudden he just, I guess, says the right things. He's like, I'll get the flashlights.
Yeah. He's like, in my room. Yeah, we have to stop in my room. I have to get my tools.
Yeah. And just this guy's swag is it's just on point. It's just like they hired this guy. He already had the tweed jacket on.
Yeah.
They're like, you're dressed for the part. Let's do it.
Yeah.
With stonewashed jeans, no socks.
Yeah, they just saw him walking across the street. They're like, oh my God, there's our Randolph Carter.
They're like, it's Lovecraft. There he is.
Yeah. Do you want to be in our film? And they're like, wait, that's not Lovecraft. This guy's too cool.
Yeah. Or maybe Lovecraft was that cool. We just don't know.
Maybe. We don't know. We wouldn't know. I mean, from his letters, though.
Oh, yeah. There's those.
Those do exist.
Sorry, folks.
Yeah. Welcome back.
Yeah, exactly. So wasn't bothered at first, and now he's just on it, which is funny because I don't know what transpires in those couple of sentences.
You see the light in his kind of he starts like, oh, wait, you know. I think it's an excuse. I think to use the book that he's been researching or something.
Yes, he is thumbing through some fun like folklore books every time we see him, which is very cool too.
Yes.
So, back to the house. We have some shadowy looks at the creature who has begun to now, I guess, stalk these 4.
Alien style.
Kind of alien style, slasher alien, the whole thing.
Yeah.
And you gotta love how it turns into this scene in this movie is pure 80s. The love scene that they start to put on. Now, it's going to be because you have the two have like separated. Oh, we're going to go look this way. We're going to go this way.
Yeah.
And then the couple that are already there to just do the nasty, they step into their room, and as soon as they show the scene, it's that like, that hazy look on the camera. There's the saxophone.
I was going to say, the saxophone.
Synthesized saxophone. And they've got their candles set up. They're laying down. They're starting to do the thing. And she lays back, and she's like, ow! And a literal, like, human arm bone with gore on it. Yeah. She's like, what's this?
Yeah.
And the guy's like, an animal must have drug it in here. Yeah. And she's like, this is the last thing I need. She's like, must have been a pretty big animal. And then she's like, how big are you? Kind of thing. And they start going at it.
Yeah. That hand motion was good.
That was good. They just...
Yeah.
But then...
Like you're closing a sandwich.
Right. Yeah. Perfect. But then... in true 80s fashion, we cut to the other two who are in another room, and we have an attempted rape scene.
Yeah, right.
I'm like,
right.
what the fuck?
Yeah.
She's like, I have a boyfriend. He's like, oh, you're just being cheeky.
Yeah.
And he like gets on top of her, and she like hits him in the head, and he's like, oh man, I was just trying to get laid.
Yeah.
Like, it's like,
what? Oh, shucks.
Yeah,
and all
it's the
shucks
80s.
moment from an 80s rape, you know?
Yeah, exactly. With his Miskatonic University thing, it's like, those two scenes that they're together is wild.
Right, but before that too, the one scene with like the one guy is trying to get with the hotter one, and it's obvious like, dude, you're not the hotter one guy.
No.
You're clearly the scraps guy.
Yeah. No, they're skids.
Yeah.
They're trying to do that whole thing.
Yeah. This guy's just trying to burst a nerd, you know?
Here it is.
Yeah.
He's sitting there. He's trying to do his thing. Afterwards, he's like, "Oh man, I'm sorry," because like if she didn't hit him, like she would have been like headline in the newspapers like 2 weeks later,
or would have
when
just
they find
took
her
it to her grave, and it would have changed every relationship for the rest of her life.
Yeah, just awful. And then it turns into, well, do you have a boyfriend then? And they have like a whole little stupid thing going on. Meanwhile, the other two are still they're going at it now, and they're getting pretty hot and heavy. They have the music going, and she grabs onto this like cabinet thing, and it's like they have a heartbeat going at the same time.
At this point, it's almost like full on techno, you know.
Basically, and it's ramping up. You know, they're trying to get to this. You know, they're trying to get to the finish. And as she like grabs this door, Joel's head comes rolling out of the thing with like half the thing ripped out.
Yeah, it's pretty beat up.
It's seen some better days. And she looks at it, we get that cool screen shot, and the guy's like, what? But then he falls to the ground and also goes in his face.
Like you do.
Like you do.
Yeah.
And they're both screaming. So then the other girl's like, what's going on in there? And she runs in, and the guy's like, damn it. He's like, lost my chance.
Again.
Like, this fucking guy.
Yeah. What a goober. He's a goon, this guy. Total goon.
Total knucklehead.
Yeah. Knucklehead.
I'm sure he learned his lesson.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, he's dead.
It's true. Well, he did learn it then.
He did. And then zaniness ensues, because then now they're looking around. There's the monsters running around. I think, don't we get our first slit throat here? Doesn't the first guy get his throat slit here?
Yes, I believe so.
Yep, because we have the guy who was the nicer of the two. That was actually he was with the girl, you know, who was actually, you know, getting some. He gets slashed in the throat. He's like laying there, like the girls are like, "What's happening?" And then the other dude is like, "Don't come in here," kind of whole thing. And like he's clearly dying because there's just blood squirting out of his pretty decent looking neck prosthetic.
Yeah, and also that's a good lesson. You know, if you want to get some, be nice. Mm-hmm. Yeah, be the nicer guy.
I mean, I think people have been saying this for a while now, but this movie is a good time capsule to show you what kind of nonsense these dudes were it was just acceptable. He's like, I'll just try next week. And harder.
Yeah, right.
But he's dead now.
And I'll bring other stuff to help. Like a club.
Yep. Going backwards.
Yeah.
Animals. None of this is funny, folks.
No.
We're just kidding.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
It's the 80s.
I know. Yeah, I mean, I didn't make the movie.
Yeah. I was made then. We were made then.
It's true. So then we get another memorable scene in the film where the arrival of our two heroes when they get to the house. So we get it's Wendy and Tanya. I had it in my notes.
There you go.
So
I was right about Wendy.
You were right.
Okay, cool.
You were right. And it's Tanya. She comes up to the door, and she opens the door, and she just sees the silhouettes of Randolph and Howard, because they're looking badass, all backlit, looking all horror movie style.
Yeah.
And she faints immediately upon seeing them. And what's funny is Randolph Carter looks down at her and says, "Just like a woman to faint." That is a Lovecraft in-joke right there.
Yes.
Because it's the Lovecraft stand-in, Randolph Carter, who always faints, and he says, "Just like a woman to faint."
Yeah.
That is a Lovecraft in-joke there, and I was like, yes, this guy knows what he's talking about.
Right. And even in the story itself, at the end, when he's talking about, you know, I mercifully fainted, you fell unconscious, like, you know, he was like, thank God I fainted, you know, when encountered with the Unnameable.
Yes.
That's so funny.
Yeah, no, and I was right there. I was like, you know what? This has more, you know, more quality than I'm giving it. And I was like, okay. And that scene made me like, I was like, okay, low budget, but I was like, I see where they're going with this one.
Yeah.
So they get in there. They see this house. Immediately, you see that Randolph is like, ooh, old stuff.
Yeah. Oh, I mean,
he sees that there's books. He sees that there's stuff.
Yeah.
So he is the man to do the research.
His nips are going through his shirt.
He can't stand
wild.
it.
Yeah.
Howard runs off because he's the rescuer. He's the hero. He's there. He wants to go and run off and aid Wendy and Tanya. And then Randolph decides to just study the books.
And also, we should mention that in the beginning, Howard was trying to get with Wendy.
Yes.
But Tanya was into Howard.
Yes. Whole weird love triangle kind of
so
thing.
that was going on. And then,
and you bring monsters and the Necronomicon into it, and you don't know what's going to happen.
And Randolph Carter's like, you go, with your, what's the word I'm looking for? You're just bull crap love interest,
Bull crap.
Yeah. I was trying to think of a good word.
Yeah.
But, worthy of Randolph Carter.
Right.
I am no wordsmith.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. So we get some good kills coming in here. Trivial. Perfect. We get some good kills in here, which some of them are pretty damn good. I mean, you get a couple of the throat crushes, but the one where she kills the other college bro, where she's just smashing his head, but slow.
Yeah, it's
very deliberate. It's like,
glunk.
Ooh, I don't like that. You get boom. It's not like it's fast. It's just like, I was like, that's actually pretty damn effective.
It was.
And I have to appreciate how they did that. We also get the pivotal, scene of Howard and Tanya discovering poor Joel Manton's headless corpse upside down, dripping blood into a bowl, plate, something.
Yeah.
Is this a ritual thing? Is the monster drinking the blood?
I would assume something like that.
Yeah, right.
I mean, because they do mention in the story,
a hamster drip bottle, but for a monster, so it's just a headless.
There was some kind of thing that brought forth this more monster than human.
Right.
So it could have been a callback to the ritual that brought it into existence.
I could go with that. I like that.
And then because they also mentioned, people have seen the old man chasing the thing, and that's where they obviously took the inspiration for the beginning.
Yes. Right. Exactly. And actually that makes me remember, and I forgot to call out the part when they first come in there and they're kind of looking at the house, the couple before they break off and do their stuff. There's a little scene where they see the reflection of the guy's face in the mirror, and that's right from the beginning of the original story where they talk about faces that get reflected.
If you stand looking through glass for too long, your image will lock
Which was another call out. I was like, oh, that's really cool. They found a way to put it in there.
Yeah.
So Randolph Carter sitting there looking through the books, and he's like, he's looking around. He sees another pile of books, and he happens upon this big, dusty, old, leather-looking tome. Looks at the spine. He's like, the Necronomicon of the Mad Arab, Abdul Hazred. I was like, yes! And somehow I forgot about this.
Yeah.
And it's just sitting there because, everyone has a copy. Even in the movies now, everyone has a copy. Yep. And it's great because, he picks it up. It's a huge-ass book. It's got the whole thing. And he starts going over some paperwork, and he's like, what is and then we start mentioning trees. I was like, tree spirits? And if I have a huge issue with this, it's that the thing that they use to kind of tie it up. They start talking about the tree spirits. Now he finds the piece of the journal or whatever, and he starts reading some of the stuff from the original guy that lived there, the Joshua Winthrop. He starts looking at some of his notes, and he starts looking at the Necronomicon. He starts making ideas, and he's like, I think I know what to do here. But when he goes in that little bit of a flashback, he starts talking about these I'm going to plant these trees, and it's going to protect. It's like, where's that coming from? I was trying to tie it into the story, The Tree, where you have the artist who becomes part of that tree. I'm like, nah, not really. There's nothing and I was just like, I don't know where they got this because, no, we'll get to it in a minute.
Yeah.
So, this is where we go full Lovecraft once again, because now you have Randolph Carter has the Necronomicon. He's reading things, and then he gets to a certain passage, and he starts reading that famous phrase that we haven't heard in any stories yet, but the Flingui Miglanov Cthulhu Relay Waganago Fatagan, the famous.
Yeah, that one.
That's from the Call of Cthulhu. We're almost there. We're almost there, folks. In 2 years we'll get there. But that's that famous phrase, and you'll hear it over and over again in stories coming up. But as soon as it hits, you're like, wow, we're in prime Lovecraft territory here, because then he's outside of this house, this 17th or 18th century house.
And I love how everyone's kind of trapped in there, but he just he's walking about as he pleases.
Yep. And he goes up to this grave that the tree is growing out of, which I think that's where I got the idea first about the story of the tree, because in that story, I don't know if you remember, one of your least favorite stories, as is mine, but the tree grew out of the guy's grave.
Yes.
So I think that was a little thing for them to be like, where could we pull from?
Sure.
And I was like, okay, that's okay. But he has this incantation. He opens it up, and then he starts going down. I'm like, boom, we're in Statement of Randolph Carter.
I was going to say,
I was like, here we go.
Yep.
And I thought that was really great because it takes that same character, and I don't think anyone's ever done it in any other form where they have Randolph Carter be the story. In the beginning, we have the Unnamable, but then we also have the Statement of Randolph Carter.
Yeah.
And he goes down there. You can hear like muttering. He gets scared for a second, and he's like, I'm going to go back.
Yeah.
And he disappears for a while.
Yeah.
But like at that point in the story, I was like, wow. And because like I said, I hadn't watched it. Like it's over a decade since I've seen this movie. And I was like, this really captures like something here that, you know, yes, it's 80s schlock. Yes, it's low budget. But like these guys really had care for this stuff. Like here's your moment. Here's the core of the movie. We got all the silly stuff, but this was like their time to nerd out. We got Randolph Carter with the Necronomicon going into a grave.
Yeah. There's like light coming out of it.
Mentioning Cthulhu as he's, you know, going into these you know, this under area. So I was just like, this is great. And I was like, I really forgot. I was sitting there with like a smile on my face. I was like, you know what, this all right. All right.
Good on you.
Yeah. So then we're given some more action shots, right? We finally get to see the creature in full, which, hey man, they give it first, I like that it's female.
Yes.
Like, because if you just had some big bulky like it would have been too like just goofy, you know what I mean?
Right. And it's kind of like almost like folds up and is gangly like Pumpkinhead in a way.
Right, yeah.
Same kind of skin complexion, same kind of like
that it's pale.
Features pale, yeah. It's you get the like chunky 80s like almost like bat style face that was used in a lot of those movies back then.
But still stays true to the story description where
with
yes,
the horns
but it has hooves.
Yes.
It definitely has hooves, even though the first time they showed just the hooves, it's like, is this Chuck E. Cheese?
Yeah.
Like
and it's got the ape-like hands or whatever. Yeah.
Like it's they found a way to, you know, I mean, only, you know, Lovecraft nerds are coming back and talking about this. Like, look, they really pulled from the thing. Like, they really did. And I give it to them. They did. And they managed to take a creature that was unnameable, but they still gave it a physical form. It's fun looking. And because it's the 80s, it got some sex appeal.
Yeah. True.
So, in my mind, pretty successful, I got to be honest.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, we get a fun little battle between Elida is her name and
Howard.
And Howard. They're going back and forth. There's some fun effects where she's like grabbing at him, and then like Tanya comes over, hits her with the flashlight. The part of her arm tears. You got that good like latex old school looking. Then he's like Howard's like kind of like grappling with her, and he rips off part of her face.
Yeah,
it's
and
like
screaming the whole time.
The screaming. Which screaming?
I can't even do it. It hurts my throat.
I'm sure you've already heard clips of it already in this episode. They really were like, this is the one, and I like this so much. I want to hear this every 30 seconds.
That's probably where a lot of the budget went to that scream, and they're like, we got to use it. We spent $100 on this.
Yeah, I was like, rent this month or make a perfect roar for our creature.
Yeah, and then they added a different roar at one point too.
There's a little there's like a weird thing. They put that in there at some point.
And I was like,
just a lady hiding in a back room somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Leave!
Yep. So all of a sudden we have this scene that starts to take place.
Camera shakes. We see the tree that's coming out of the grave. We see branches and like and a spooky voice starts calling her name, and the branches start kind of like smacking her. I don't know.
Kind of. Yeah. It's like a
when you bat it around. Yeah.
I don't know. And in my mind, it's like the branches just take her.
I guess so.
It's kind of done in like sort of like a magical kind of way. I guess she's being reclaimed by these tree spirits
to take her to the other side because the guy, Mr. Winthorpe, is calling her to come home.
I'm guessing, but if he was involved in black magic, he's like in hell or wherever they are down there, right?
Well, that's a subterranean area. Must have summoned him from,
right? Yeah. So that these evil branches are grasping her and bringing her back down to this underground subterranean hellish place. You know, some kind of like hidden city kind of area, or it's probably like the festival. There's like
Okay.
a twilight-litten grotto with fungus and disgustingness.
Sure.
That's everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I'm also going back to the statement of Randolph Carter.
Like just slimy
Rocky and
skeletons.
things just coming like to get, and he's like, what is it? What is it?
Half dissolved skeletons coming out of like
Yeah.
black goo. Underneath rats in the walls.
Rest and walls, the little
That kind of territory.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pig people.
Yeah.
Ew. We're getting through it.
Yeah. Wild story.
Disgusting. And she she basically disappears, right? And these tree spirits have done their job. So we have Howard and Tanya trying to get away at this point, right? They're trying to flee the house. And we get these definitely not Spirit Halloween skeleton hands grasping at them, trying to pull them into the ground. But as you're looking at the hands, you see a curiously human hand with a watch and a tweed jacket arm. I'm like, could that be?
Could it have been? Because right before that, they're all dead.
Yeah.
Even Randall.
Even Randall.
Carter.
Even Carter, Carter's not.
Yeah. Are you kidding me?
Are you fucking kidding? Yeah, he lives for this shit.
Yeah,
This is just a regular, Tuesday night for this motherfucker. As he's looks like he's getting pulled down, you see Carter kind of climbs out and helps them get out, and these skeleton hands are grabbing at it. Classic. It's like, look, we have no more money. We gotta get this last shot.
Yeah.
What can we do? They're like, I have some skeleton arms in my garage. Like, dude, go get it. Yep.
Get it.
I got
Bring
some
your
trash
little brother.
bags. Yep. I got some flashlights. We'll just shake the flashlights like this on the end.
Yep. And all we need is Carter there to say the end line.
Yeah.
Brush himself off real quick.
Yep. They get out. He says something snarky, and I didn't even put it down what the hell it was, but it was he's like, that was it, my friend. It's just total, he says, I was there. That's right.
I was there, Howard. It was hell. And then he says, it was truly unnameable, I think that's what he says.
Yes.
Because he's clearly talking about the statement of Randolph Carter, but what the other guy saw.
Yes. He gets to see what Harley Warren was the guy in the other story. What he got to see, he gets to see
but
this
he
time.
lives and he made it out.
No fainting.
But he's very...
Not on the phone while it's happening, hitting the fucking monsters.
Yeah. Oh, Carter, run!
Yeah.
Ow! But
doing the 80s mom with the long cord on the phone, just fucking whipping it at you.
But he's also excited about it.
Yeah.
He's I was there. I saw it.
Yeah.
I saw it.
He's like, it's almost time for Through the Gates of the Silver Key.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming. There's no movie of that, unfortunately.
Sure. Why would there be?
Where he, Yog-Sothoth shows up. It's a good time. Nyarlathotep shows up.
That guy. Yeah. My favorite.
Your fave. And that's the end of the film, man. And it's great because, I like that he came out of, like you just said, that he came out of these whatever catacombs or fucking hellish depths that are down there, and there's these whatever pit or tomb legions or whatever
tomb
are down
legions,
there. Wendigo riff.
Yeah. There it is.
And it's just a fun time, and then it ends such an 80s way. He has his little line. He's like, it was the Unnameable, because he does say Unnameable earlier in the movie, where he's like, what is it? Unnameable.
Yeah.
And it's like,
what's the deal with the Unnameable?
Yeah, exactly. What's the deal with the Necronomicon? And they walk off into the dark, like just pals, arms around each other, and then that absolute banger just drops.
We'll clip it here. All right.
Add that to your spooky playlist this year, folks.
Yeah.
Nobody has that yet, trust me.
I'm gonna have to add that.
Yeah. Although Amazon right now, because it's on Amazon, the movie Amazon right now, the servers are like, who the hell is watching the Unnameable all of a sudden?
Yeah. They're like, why is the
Unnameable uptick?
Yeah. They're like, 200 views?
It hasn't gotten that many since we put it on.
Yeah. Ever.
What's going on? We better raise the price for rental.
Yeah, right.
Jerks.
Because of the Unnameable.
Yeah.
The surge in the Unnameable.
Exactly.
Yeah, but it's one of those, like, you know, I almost think if they had a bigger budget, it would have ruined it.
Oh, probably. And that's
Yeah.
usually like the curse for any movie that wants to be good is like, because they had the limitations, they had to be more creative.
Exactly.
You know, too many options, it might as well have no options. And I think it came out.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, my take on it, I mean, look, I like this much better than Reanimator. This is the second, you know, me knowing of it being a Lovecraftian movie after reading the story. And like you said, I like how they took a lot of the parts from the story and they just... You get a better product when you take the established parts of a story or like a different intellectual property and then you work within that universe, right? As opposed to doing a shot for shot or a play by play, because you're always going to change one or two things.
Sure.
That's just not going to make it as good as the story.
Right.
Whereas, like, you have the opening, you have them in the cemetery.
Yeah.
You have the creature that goes back to the bones that he saw.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, what can we make with the horns and how it looks and all that stuff? They made a creature with a cool sound.
Yeah.
They covered the parts of the story.
Was the sound cool?
No, but it worked. But they took it, they built within what the confines of the short story are.
Yeah.
And they modernized it. They were, you know, I don't know what year would have been.
This was 88.
88. Well, what I'm saying, did it take place in 88?
I think it was supposed to be contemporary for sure.
Okay,
I mean,
right.
and look at all that. Look at all the teased hair.
Yeah, you're right.
and
You're right.
The
Because-
acid wash jeans.
Right. Yeah. You're good call. Good call.
The awful hair. Awful hair.
I was just like, why is Howard wearing a blazer? You know,
He would have worn that. Howard or
Howard was wearing a blazer too. He was.
yes,
wearing
he
like,
was.
Yeah.
They were. It was like they wanted to show you the two college types. There was the two like. I think they kind of they were trying to do that. Like, here's like your college Joe type, who's this jerk off football player.
Yeah.
One's just they're all just trying to get ass, and the one that gets it, okay, we're great, and the one that doesn't get it tries to take it by force. But then you have these suave MFers.
Yeah. One's kind of a simp, you know.
A little bit, but the other one is just dyed in the wool gentleman,
Right.
Who's just above it all. A lot of this,
Yeah. Yeah, the air smells different to him.
Yeah. And when we don't see him when he's at home, he definitely has a smoking jacket.
Oh,
all
yeah.
the time.
And he's got, this
Slippers.
brandy sifter too. Yeah. Little pipe. Yeah. Like, no. So, yeah, like, I like when they do it, like, how they did it. They made their own little story with the characters, modernized it a bit. But it worked, and instead of them getting dragged through a field and ending up,
yes,
far out and waking up in the hospital.
Yes.
A little more of a hero story.
Yeah, and there's much more. They get to give us a little more to chew on. It's a lot more exciting, honestly.
Yeah.
Because the other story, I remember we discussed the story originally. This was like Lovecraft putting his debate that he had with his friend as a story, and he wanted to put it out there. And then he's like, "Well, I'll win in my story," and he wrote this story. So I definitely think that this gave us a little bit more to deal with. But I'm glad that you mentioned Reanimator, because this movie guaranteed only came out because of Reanimator.
Right.
So, and Reanimator came out 3 years earlier in 85. This is 88. And you could tell they were like, oh, it's a Lovecraft story. They're like, oh, like Reanimator? Yeah. And that's probably what got this movie, this film made. I don't know the behind the scenes of it, but I'm going to guess that that's probably how that it went.
I'd say that's a good assumption.
So what happens here is they make this movie, but they stay more, I don't know, authentic or true to the Lovecraftian vibe, in my opinion.
No, I agree with
because, I mean, we've been over Reanimator and we know how we both feel about the movie. And I just found that this one, it didn't try to be like, oh, we got to keep the kids entertained, so it's just got to be comedy and sex, and sex. And here's a couple gross outs, but here's more comedy and sex. And it's like, I understand what they were doing there, but this one was like, okay, we'll put some of that in here, but let's go more slasher and more supernatural haunted house instead of too much sex and too much comedy, because there is some comedy in here, but it's very short, and it's like they're Lovecraftian in-jokes.
It's more tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also, one of the cool things is you get the creature feature, right? You get the monster, but you also have the Lovecraftian aspect of him going down into hell and not know what he saw.
And we don't get to see that.
And he's the only one that knows, and he doesn't. He says
Good
it's
point.
unnameable.
Yeah, good point.
You know what I mean? And you keep that. You're like, oh, what did he see down there? What was that? What were those skulls? And he says it just like Lovecraft would.
There is a sequel.
To this?
Yes.
Is he in it?
I believe he is. I've never seen it.
Stay tuned for
Yeah.
part 2 of
I've never seen it,
Cyclopean
folks. We'll do it.
Cinema.
I mean, why not?
I'm gonna watch it.
I've never seen it. I've only ever seen it.
I wonder what they do in it.
I don't know, man. But it's called The Statement of Randolph Carter.
Really?
Yeah. It's called the Unnamable 2, The Statement of Randolph Carter.
Well, here's what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
After this episode's recording,
Yeah.
in my smoke break, we're watching the trailer.
Okay, yeah. Let's do
Yeah.
it. Yeah, totally.
While high-fiving hard as shit.
But honestly, that's what I've got on it, and it's funny. I knew you were gonna like this one because as I was halfway through rewatching it the other day, I was like, you know what, Ken's gonna love this because there's haunted house and there's a monster. I was like, Ken's gonna like this no matter what. And I was like, oh shit, I forgot the Necronomicon's in this, and then I was like, wait, Randolph Carter is suave as fuck in this, and I was like, damn, and he has Ghostbuster vibes. I was like, dude, this is
When you texted me, I forget if it was yesterday or Thursday or whatever, and you said you brought up the one part, and I was like, dude, I dig it.
Yeah,
I was like, I like this.
Yeah, no,
movie.
it's fun. It's a lot of fun. It's got decent kills. It's got some good blood. The creature design for what they were trying to do, and they stayed within the parameters of the story.
Exactly.
Kudos to that.
Yeah,
because they could have just done some dumb shit.
Right. Well, the tree spirit thing, that's a little wonky.
It is, but now that we're re-talking about it and talking about the grave, that totally is them calling back to the tree. So as you know, as a Lovecraft head, I'm like, you know what? I gotta respect it because they tied it into another obscure ass Lovecraft little portion of a story. So it's like, okay, fine.
Yeah, props to the people who made this movie.
Yeah.
Once again,
they didn't go to the Dreamlands. They're lucky there.
Look, if
that might be what part 2 is.
Oh no! If part 2 we get any Lord Dunsany shit,
oh boy,
I'm breaking my phone. I'm snapping my phone in half.
Oh boy, wait till we get.
If I see a dreamscape of a bird guiding a ship,
the white ship
to lands, I'm gonna be upset.
Sorry, man. I can't. I don't know.
Curse you. I'm gonna give you the finger.
If someone says Salafius or Salafeus, however the fuck they say the name of that town. I gotcha.
Oh man,
I gotcha.
But yeah, last thing, just within, like I said, within like what they had to make the movie, I think they did an awesome job.
Yeah,
and like it's one of those ones where people will be like, how come you like this one? Well, you didn't like Reanimator, you know? And like,
I just don't like Reanimator.
I don't either. Yeah, that's the thing.
There's another thing on that. I think that they were also pseudo trying to make Randolph Carter a little bit Jeffrey Combs-ish, a little bit.
I could see that.
A little snark in there.
Yeah.
Like the way he would deliver his lines. Like the way it was like, I was like, all right, there's a little Jeffrey Combs in here. Mm-hmm. So it's totally in that vibe. But this, I just think this just gets it done.
Agreed.
I get headless zombies are fun. I get the whole the reagent, yes. But then again, I don't want to discuss this movie anymore. But the original story is just so much better.
I can't believe how great that story is, and to do that, and like this one, you take just a small, cute little,
and they just
little argument story about him proving his friend wrong in a story for him, and they just took that and were like, let's do this, let's connect it this way. Yeah. I'm into it.
Yep, and he even found a way to beat his friend in the story because his friend, while he's over there saving the girl, he's like, dude, I went to like the pits of the Shuggoths, and I was like fucking around down there reading the Necronomicon, saying spells and shooting eldritch beams at these creatures. And what were you doing up here, talking to a girl?
Yeah. Oh, would you fist fought a monster? Yeah. That was clearly winning.
Yeah.
But you gotta be saved by a flashlight. Yeah, nice.
It's like, I better save my friends. Gotta go.
Yeah, right. Coolest thing is though too, he crawled his way past the Tomb Legions. Yeah. Like he crawled out while they're trying to get his buddies. Yeah. He just, excuse me, I'm getting out of here.
Yeah, he molar-romped one of them, climbed up and threw one off behind him to get closer to Dr. Jones. Totally.
Or it was like Mario 3 was on the cage.
Yes.
And he flipped around and punched him off, and flipped back around. Yeah, Randolph Carter is a badass in this story and in this movie. Yep. Well, in the movie more than the story, because in the story, he's like, my friend, even though he's smaller than me, was much more strong.
He's a high school teacher. It's fine.
My lowly position as a writer.
You know what? We should. I have his name. We should see if this guy's still kicking around. The actor.
Oh boy.
I have it here. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
Mark Kinsey Stevenson. If this man's still kicking around, say he's got an Instagram, he's still doing some stuff.
Let's reach out.
Let's reach out and say, hey man, we'd like to talk to you.
Yeah.
He might be a Lovecraft fan. Or
Even
we
if.
or we could contact him. He just says no.
Yeah.
We're like, Ken, we should just go to him.
Yeah, right.
He's in pain.
Yeah,
He must rescue him.
he needs us.
He needs us.
He needs us.
He's in a vine-choked mansion.
We knock on the door creaks open, and we just put out our arms for hugs.
Yeah.
And he, hobbles out, and we just hold him.
Yeah.
He cries.
Yeah. It'll be like a Lovecraftian Christmas miracle or
Yeah,
something. I
something.
don't know.
Yeah.
Or not.
Tentacles wrap around us all,
Yeah. You're getting it.
pull us into the ground, which is the ocean.
Look,
somehow.
man, all I know is that's like one of my top 10 adventures in my head is to get the Necronomicon and go climb into a grave and go on an adventure that nobody else knows what happens except for you. Because at the end, you're just like, yeah.
Yeah. You're like,
Yeah. The real movie is what just happened.
Yeah.
You guys did this.
yeah, that was silly.
Yeah. Yep.
Silly monster fight.
Seriously.
Yeah.
You're probably flying on night gaunts and battling moon beasts.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway.
But we digress.
We digress. Well, that's what we have for the cinematic version of the Unnamable. Thanks for joining us. Sorry it's been so long. We ran into
I'm still in the gauntlet.
traffic
Yeah.
jam. I am
Yeah,
too.
we're still in the gauntlet.
But honestly, we came back a little sooner than we were going to give you this episode because, yeah, I really, it touched us. We were like, wow, we really do have people listening. And we appreciate it from the bottom of our hearts because a lot of the times, because we have another podcast too, you record this stuff and you don't hear anything from anybody really that often. You'll hear stuff here and there, you get a couple comments, but to actually have people like, guys, when are you coming back?
Yeah.
Hey, remember when Ken said this and when you guys did this? I'm like, people are listening?
Yeah.
It's like,
okay. And we were getting like we got like comments on the update of like on YouTube, like, hey, any update on the update? And I'm like, oh man, I know, we're coming. It's coming.
It's coming back. So, like I said, we're getting the Patreon together. We're gonna have that for you soon. And that's how it's gonna go. We'll once we have the details complete we'll come back with a new episode and we'll explain everything. So, but
you guys will be the first to know.
You guys will be the first to know because you're the ones who care.
Yeah.
So,
and we care about you.
It's true. Anything else to add there, Kenneth?
Miskatonic University sweaters all around.
Hey man, I already have the logos made. I could just put it on a threadless.
Yeah, we might have to.
The threadless is coming soon. Maybe that'll be a perk for the Patreon. We'll figure it out, guys.
There you go.
So, all right, well, so for this episode of Learning Lovecraft, I've been Jason McKittrick.
And I've been Ken James.
And we'll see you beyond the Wall of Sleep.